We received a distressing call about 4 puppies abandoned in the middle of a desolate bush, with no chance of survival. The description was alarming, and when we arrived at the scene, what we saw was even more heartbreaking than we could have imagined. 3 puppies ran out of the dry bushes, their small paws barely able to support their fragile bodies. Their tails wagged with what little strength they had left, as if they knew this was their last chance to get help. They were scared puppies, desperate for help. But what broke our hearts even more was realizing that there were not just 3, as we had initially thought. Hidden, completely still and almost invisible among the dry foliage, was the 4th puppy, the weakest and most debilitated of all. This last puppy was so terrified that he could not even move. His thin, malnourished body practically blended into the arid landscape, and his eyes, glazed with fear, barely moved. He was so weak that he could not even lift his head. The heat was stifling, and the dry climate of the region made every second without water an additional ordeal for them. It was clear that if we had not arrived in time, their fate would have been tragic. With great care, we picked up the 4 puppies. When I held them in my arms, 2 of them, exhausted beyond their limits, fell asleep instantly. It was as if they had finally found a small ray of safety and, for a brief moment, were able to let their guard down and rest. It was a deeply moving moment, which demonstrated how much these little ones had suffered, facing hunger, thirst, and the fear of being abandoned to their fate. There was no time to waste. We rushed to the nearest vet, where the puppies were immediately examined. The results were devastating. All 4 were severely anemic due to the massive infestation of worms and ticks. In addition, their state of malnutrition was extreme, with their bodies extremely thin, incapable of sustaining any activity for long. The doctor, after carefully examining them, highlighted the urgent need for intensive treatment. They were approximately 5 months old, but their suffering and the conditions in which they were found made it difficult to determine exactly. The initial prognosis was not very optimistic, but we were determined to fight for them. Each of the puppies began to receive adequate nutrition, medical treatments for worms and other parasites, and all the necessary care to stabilize their condition. In the first few days, the situation was still delicate. They were very weak, and daily visits to the vet became an essential routine. On the 4th day, we began to see the first signs of hope. With the correct nutrition and intensive treatment, the puppies began to regain their vitality. Little by little, they began to interact more, play with each other, and display typical puppy behavior. Curiosity, energy, and that innocent joy that seemed so distant until then. Seeing the transformation in their eyes was indescribable. Those puppies, who had previously been barely able to stand, were now jumping, running, and exploring the world around them with renewed enthusiasm. On the 20th day, the change was spectacular. The 4 little angels, who had previously been on the brink of death, now enjoyed a new, safe, and cozy temporary home. A place where they had a warm bed, fresh water, and quality food. Those little beings, who had been victims of abandonment and neglect, now knew what love and care were. The weight of their hardships began to disappear, giving way to a new life, full of hope and affection. Now, these 4 puppies are no longer alone. Each of them has been surrounded by people who are committed to ensuring their well-being. They have everything they need: food, shelter, medical care, and most importantly, love. It is incredible how, in such a short time, these puppies have gone from an existence full of pain and uncertainty to one of joy and protection. Their recovery is powerful proof that with dedication, care, and support, even the deepest wounds can be healed. The journey of these puppies is a true story of overcoming. From abandoned babies on the brink of death, they are now healthy and happy dogs, ready to find forever homes where they will be loved unconditionally. Every small step forward, every step taken, was a reflection of the joint effort of everyone who cared. Every person who offered help, whether through prayers, positive thoughts, or donations, made an immeasurable difference. We are deeply grateful to everyone who supported us on this journey. These puppies now have a new lease on life, and it was all possible thanks to a collective effort. Thank you for joining us, for believing in the power of love and compassion, and for helping transform the lives of these four little heroes.